1946. That's the time, not the year. And this is the cusp of Taurus and Gemini, and the sunset will be at 20:55 this evening, and so a good hour and 9 minutes. So this is our first look at where the sun is setting tonight or this evening. Now 2000, or should I say 8 p.m, and we can see where the sun is going down. The solar disk is very visible from this position. And here we are, directly in front of the square tower. And here are shots from the jetty. Now 20:06 from the round tower, and as we can see, the sun is high above those two buildings and in the middle of them.
Ale to widzę po drugiej stronie, czy nie?
Nie, po tej stronie.
So, about 48 minutes until the sunset. We can see from this vantage point that the sun appears to be going behind a cloud, and only half of the sun disk is visible above that cloud in the distance. How far away is that cloud? Hard to say. 2,000 miles? You'd have to calculate. Just a glow above the cloud to mark the position of the sun. 2010 or 8:10, 8:11 p.m, and the solar disk is now clearly seen below that cloud, and only half of it is visible at this stage, and there's more and more of it becoming visible as we see it descend from our perspective. Now 2016, and as we see with the naked eye, the sun disk is just above the corner of that building on the right. So it's moved from the center, or the middle of the two buildings, to over the corner of the building on the right, and it'll be, from our perspective, slowly moving down. Now 2026, and we can see the sun, the solar disk, is about in the just above the middle of that building to the right in the distance, and we've been watching it descend from our perspective for quite a while. And there we go, it's right in the middle of that. The sun disk is right in the middle of that building now. Now, a conundrum. I was informed by a wise young man over 40 years ago that the sun is actually cold and it reflects light, and so therefore that light which it reflects is hot. And now I wonder if the moon is warm and it reflects cold light. Something to think about. Something that is possible on a flat Earth. Time check, 20:31, and the sun is seen in the middle of those two buildings, closer to the one on the left, as we see it descending from this position over Gosport. Just to continue the story of that wise young man whose name was Philip, some 40 years ago, after he told me the incredible things about the sun, sometime later he gave me his telescope, beautiful telescope, as if to say, look for yourself. 20:34, and from this position, slightly to the right of where we were, the sun disk is seen exactly in the middle of those two buildings in the distance on the land called Gosport. As we see it from the Spice Island Inn, in front of Spinacre Tower. 20:37, and we see the sun disk from this position, which is about 100 meters from where our last position. We see it approaching that building, and the solar disk may soon be setting behind those clouds in the distance. And this may be the last moment where we see the full sun disk, as it's now starting to dip from our perspective behind that cloud, as it moves into the distance, reflecting lights. 8:40 p.m. and the solar disk about half hidden by the cloud and just touching from our perspective that building on the left in the distance. Now 15% is visible above the cloud, and we can see it's starting to appear below the cloud as well. So it's split by the cloud visibly with the naked eye, and half hidden by that building. Now, the very last moment of the visibility of the sun, it's now completely hidden by the cloud and the building from our vantage point. And this is 10 minutes before the official sunset. However, from this vantage point, 3% of the sun is still visible. The rest is hidden behind that cloud, in between the two buildings. Yes, and we were just over there by that fire lamppost, the small lamppost. Yes, in size. This one's a big one. So it's still visible. 10 minutes from this position until the sunset. From this position, the sun is between that building and that tower building. As we can clearly see the disk. Not only can we see the disk, but we can see the reflection in the windows opposite. There we go. 6 minutes until sunset, and we can still see a portion of the sunset caught between those two buildings in the distance. Now the last moments. As from our perspective, it disappears into the distance. Last glimmer. Oh, there it goes. Now 5 minutes until sunset, and the last glimmers of the sun are seen reflected in that building in the distance, and oh, even that's now about finished. So that's the last we should see of the sun this evening. Now 1 minute until sunset, and this shot is because there is clearly the light of the sun just above that building on the far right. So 5 minutes after sunset, and we can see the glow of the sun in the distance, to the right of that big tower. Beautiful day on the waterfront. Now 21:06, that's 11 minutes after sunset. And 21:10, we won't actually be seeing the moon for quite a while. (21:13), blossom time. 20:22, so 15 minutes until dusk. (21:35), so 2 minutes until dusk, and the moon will be coming up over in that direction later on, and this is our dusk shot for the evening. There we go, very dusky. So 21:37, the very moment of dusk, and now the sun's light finds it very hard to push through the atmospheric deck of opacity, the thickness of the atmosphere from this point. And we're in front of the deep blue Great British sunset and dusk. It's also a good place for sunrise. "23 minutes past dusk from the far side of the pier, overlooking Eastney, actually taken from the pier. No sign of the moon as yet." Well, there's all sorts of discos and music going on here. Good place for a night out. Here we are, 5:06, so it's sunrise time, and oh, we have the moon in its first quarter in the distance, and over in the distance, this is the west side of the pier, and some 7 hours later from our last shot, and the sunrise is in that direction. 5:10, we have the first quarter moon, and the sun is 4 minutes up in the distance, Not forgetting a month ago, the sun was rising over in this direction. 5:11 and sunrise reflections from Canoe Lake. Just beyond those houses. 5:23, and so the sun has now been up some 18 minutes. As here we are in front of the coffee cup, and last time the sun for Taurus was rising over there in that direction from this position, and now we have the sun and it's just clearing the top of that cloud in the distance, and the solar disk is fully visible from this point. So now 18 minutes after sunrise, and as we can see, the sun is obscured partially or mostly by that cloud in the distance, but the sun disk is now fully visible, apart from the parts that are obscured, of course. So now 20 minutes after sunrise. Another beautiful day on Eastney waterfront. Our ethereal moon, there up in the clouds, still visible some 23 minutes after sunrise. And this is the final day, one could say, or the 6th day of the Taurian Gemini Cusp. Now 5:40, and the sun is still obscured by clouds or by chemtrails in the distance. The moon still visible. A wonderful shot of men fishing for the morning. So now 5:42, and just a quick look at the chemtrails that are being spread there and in the distance. Yeah, it's basically all over. And the moon. So now 6:06, final shot of the moon and the sunrise in the distance.